Well, welcome everyone to the Yoga Philosophy Group coming to you from the Yoga Center of Chico. I'm Lauren Carley and with me is Tom Hess. In this series, we are currently studying the Bhagavad Gita and how to relate it to your life. We use this translation by, where did it go? Got my background blurred. Anyway, we use this, there we go. We use this translation by Eknath Esharwin, but you can use any translation you like. Today, we're studying chapter 13, one of my favorite chapters. If there is a favorite one, each session is recorded. It can be found on the Yoga Center of Chico's YouTube channel, and I really invite you to go to that channel and look at what's there. There's a lot of other things there. Each live session comes to you from the YCC via Zoom, or you can attend in person. These occur on the fourth Thursday of every month, starting at 5:30 Pacific time. Anyone can join in. The sessions are free. You can go to the Yoga Center Chico's website and contact Tom if you want to be added to the mailing list. I'll be back after Tom's presentation with a couple of suggestions of how you can relate this chapter directly to your life. Now I'm honored to introduce the presenter for tonight, chapter 13, an owner of the Yoga Center Chico, Tom Hess.
Thank you, Lauren. It's always a pleasure. Well, chapter 13, it's titled The Field and the Knower. And of course, it's still the dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. And Krishna is describing or talking to Arjuna about these concepts in the field and the knower. And what's interesting, and we'll get into it a little bit later, are two terms that have come up often, and they will come up in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and they've come up in the Bhagavad Gita. It's Purusha and Prakriti. We discussed when the first couple of weeks when we were talking about definitions, these are two of those words that we came up, very important words. And basically, that's about this chapter, because the field is Prakriti, all of nature. The knower is the self-illumined, the self-realized person who sees Prakriti for its reality, for its truthfulness. The knower is when you know the self. What the knower knows about Prakriti is that everything's connected. They're all intertwined. Everything's connected. And that thing that connects us is Purusha, the knower. So the knower is Purusha, the field is Prakriti. Of course, Krishna is the best knower. He's the one that knows everything. So he is the knower of all. So when we get to that point of being a knower, one of the things we will know is Krishna and his essence, which is a repeated theme throughout the Gita, always turning back to Krishna, always worshiping Krishna, always devoting one's energies towards Krishna, which means devoting oneself to this concept of Purusha, this universality. Okay. Then he says, the rest of the chapter, I'm going to explain what Prakriti is, or I'm going to explain what the field is, and I'm going to explain what Purusha or the knower is. And then I'm going to explain what happens when the two unite. Okay, so the first thing he does is he starts to talking about Prakriti, the elements of nature. So the five, first of all, everything that you see in the world that we see that is tangible, that exists, is part of Prakriti, but he goes beyond that. The sense organs, the sense receptors are part of Prakriti. The five elements, which everything in the world constitutes the five elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether or space. So everything that you see has those components within it. So everything is like that. But even the things inside of us, like our sense organs, our mind, our organs of actions, he goes into the three parts of the mind. the manas, the buddhi, and the ahamkara, which in yogic terminology, the consciousness is composed of three components. Ahamkara, which means the I component of the mind, the ego component of the mind. Buddhi, which is the intelligence that exists within the mind that can discern and decide things. And then manas, simply the mind observing. So in the yogic terminology, there's three components to the consciousness or mind, and those are the three. Okay. And then there's a certain pranic energy that is a result of all of that interaction that is also part of prakriti. So basically, prakriti is everything. Okay. What is Purusha? What is the knower? He goes on to explain, Krishna goes on to explain the attributes of the knower. He's free from pride, gentle, upright, pure, self-controlled, detached, not entangled, even-minded. And in the previous chapters, we have read other descriptions of people who have been devoted to Krishna, and they have very similar traits. All of these are very positive traits. They're traits that serve the community, much like the 8 limbs of yoga. The ways that we present ourselves in the world tells the world what is going on within us. So when someone has this understanding of the self within oneself, and this understanding entails a connection with all other beings, one starts to have compassion, understanding, self-control, detached, not entangled, even-minded. They seek only Krishna. They seek only the self within themselves. And Krishna goes on to explain that anything else other than this seeking of the true self within, which is represented by Purusha, which is represented by Krishna and Brahman, that's entity within, it's not even an entity, I'm using that word wrong. It has no substance. Okay, Purusha, Krishna. Anything other than that is ignorance. And it can't be like ignorance in a critical, stupid type way. It's ignorance in that we just don't understand. We just don't get it. But that's why we study it. That's why we're trying to get it. The wisdom that leads to immortality. Now, so what Krishna is talking about when he talks about immortality here is a connection with Brahman or Krishna, that one recognizes the true self within. He is devoid of karma, and he has no samskara. They have no samskaras, and they finish this life and go through to another life without the baggage of karma, samskaras, the vasanas, those tendencies, all of those things from previous life. Because through their spiritual practice, these things have been eliminated from their life. That leads to this understanding connection with Purusha or Prakriti, excuse me, not Prakriti, Purusha and Krishna, and that leads to not being reborn. So that's what he's talking about, immortality, just not being reborn, being illuminated, being aware. Okay. This wisdom that dwells everywhere, this thing that lives within all of us that we seek to understand, Purusha, Krishna, Brahman, is beyond the gunas. Again, these are human traits, these gunas. Sattvic, Rajas, and Tamic. Sattvic being the illumined state, Rajasic state is activity, Tamasic state is lethargy. These are traits we all have. Let me put it this way. Everything in Prakriti has gunas. The trees are very tamasic. They just are there. But they're heavy, they're grounded. They have illumination because they're seeking the light. And they have Rajasic quality because they're growing. So a stone is very tamasic, grounded, firm, never moving, solid. But it has qualities as well of some sattvic and Rajasic. It would be hard to find, but it could be there. So everything in the world, Prakriti, has these gunas. That's why one of the definitions of Purusha is it's beyond the gunas. If everything in Prakriti has the gunas, Purusha, or the knower, Krishna, Brahman, are beyond that. So that's another definition. This thing, this unidentifiable thing of the knower, Brahman, Krishna, exists everywhere, within everything. It exists within all Prakriti, within and without every creature. It is a creator, it is a preserver, it is a destroyer. It is knowledge itself. But if it's knowledge unrealized by us, it goes off into the ethers. This knowledge of Prakriti has to be pursued by us through our spiritual practice. When we come into union with that, that's when we become knowers of Prakriti. And then he goes on to actually talk about Purusha and Prakriti. Prakriti is the cause of action. Purusha seems to be the experience, seems to experience pleasure and pain. So yet another couple of definitions of this idea of Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is sometimes called the witness, the approver, the support, the supreme lord. He who realizes Purusha is not born separate again. He who realizes Purusha is in union with Krishna and Brahman, therefore is never born again. How do we get? What is the means for us to connect with Purusha or the knower? Meditation, wisdom, selfless service, or listening to a master who has accomplished this. So again, we refer back to the previous chapters. What did it take to get into touch with Krishna? Meditation, selfless service, right? Those are the two main yogic practices that's described in the previous chapter. Jnana yoga, the yoga of meditation, mental focus, single-mindedness, and the yoga of selfless service, when one devotes all of their energies towards serving others with no recognition or expectation of return. The way this is done with Jnana yoga, the yoga of meditation, one goes so deeply inside that the mind is so quiet that one can truly see themselves on a deeper level, that Purusha level, that Brahman level, Krishna level inside. Or the other way to see the true self inside is through selfless service. We see the connection with all beings and we are of them. So that's the way we turn around and see ourselves. So those are the two main they're the many techniques, the two types of yoga described in the Bhagavad Gita. And then through these practices of meditation or selfless service, one creates a union between Purusha and Prakriti that brings about an understanding of the field by the knower. The knower is that person that does the spiritual practice, that travels the road to get there. This is the person who sees clearly the Lord in every creature, the connection between us all. The Supreme Self is untouchable by Prakriti. Once one is established in the field, in the knower, one isn't above the gunas, not affected by the outside world. In other words, no entanglement, no attachment, no fluctuations in the consciousness. This person who lives and is the knower in our world today goes through life unaffected by the whirlwind of Prakriti that swirls around them. That's their strength. That's knowing oneself. Those who can distinguish between the field and the knower will attain the supreme goal. So one who sees Prakriti for what it is and even looks within Prakriti, they become knowers themselves. So that's our job, is to see that we need to do this, become a knower and look at Prakriti. And then the work of doing it. Meditation, self-service, all of the things described in the Gita. Okay, there's chapter 13. Thank you. Back to Lauren.
Thanks, Tom. That great description of this chapter. And as Tom mentioned, this chapter is a lot of description from Krishna to Arjuna. There is the one section that's a hint of practice in a general sense. So I have a couple of suggestions where you might want to take it, and like I like to say, take it on home to yourself and actually do some very, very specific practices. And this has to do with practicing being the observer. A classic way to practice being the observer in yourself, minute to minute to minute, is through witnessing. Be the witness, be the observer of your pranayama, of your breath practice. And I would like to emphasize that you particularly practice what happens to you at the bottom of the exhale. And I might extend it a little bit further to say that a goal might be, although it's not a goal you can push for, it's a goal that happens to you, that the witnessing and the thing of witnessing starts to all meld together. And sometimes that can happen to somebody at the bottom of the exhale. So this is this is a practice, being the observer of your pranayama, or just the observer of your breath. It doesn't even have to be pranayama, I would submit. Tom may disagree with me on this point, but in Shavasana, just observing your breath is to move your mind from your intellectual understanding of what Tom just described to the actual practice. The second practice, very similar, but instead of focusing on your breath and practicing of being the observer and not the doer, is to practice observing the play between your manas, you might say CPU, your recording mind that observes the world around you, the sound, the color, through the senses, the smell, the taste, etc. Observe the interplay between the manas, the ahankara, the ego, which you probably heard me talk about the ego voice before. You can, once you're tuned in, you can hear it loud and clear. And the buddhi, the intellect. Those three that are mentioned in the Gita here have an interplay. And if you can detach yourself, or maybe even if you can't yet, and practice observing what goes on in any particular point in time inside yourself, this is the personal practice here, you could strengthen your ability to observe that. You can start to rise above the fray, start to rise above the ego, start to even rise above the buddhi and understand it for what it is as part of prakriti. So there's two suggestions you can take up or not, it's up to you. And with that, again, I'll just invite you to jump on Zoom. I'll be sending out for those of you that might get this ahead of time, I'll be sending out a link to the Zoom. It's the same link every time, but you're also welcome to jump on Zoom and or coming to the Yoga Center Chico and participate in the discussion on this chapter. Tom?
Thank you, Lauren. Well, there it is. So when we get together in physical, it's Thursday at 5:30 to 7 at Yoga Center Chico. And we always have lively personal discussion. So I really encourage you all to come on over. Other than that, that's it. Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.